After years of waiting, Morbius is finally here. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be giving you my review of Morbius, the long-delayed film starring Jared Leto as Michael Morbius. Biochemist Michael Morbius tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease, but he inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism instead. So before I give you guys my thoughts on this movie, make sure to hit that like button, comment down below your thoughts or expectations if you have not yet seen Morbius, and make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future Marvel reviews. So Morbius has become a meme at this point with the amount of times it's been constantly delayed, and if you put together all the marketing, it feels like we've already seen this movie before going into it, so I really didn't have many expectations when I walked into that theater today to watch the movie. And walking out of the movie theater, it wasn't disappointing because my expectations were so low. It was just really bad. I do have a few positives before I get into my massive issues with the movie, and the one thing I want to highlight is how dope the opening credits are. Like, it was really trippy from the start. You've got this cool pattern going, and I like the visuals they used in those opening credits, especially the Morbius logo. And the fact that the movie is only an hour and 45 minutes I think is nice, because a lot of superhero movies will overextend their stay. If this would have been 2 hours and 12 minutes, that probably would have dragged on too much. It still had its fair share of pacing issues for only being an hour and 45 minutes, but at least it wasn't as long as other movies that tend to drag. But I'm just going to cut to the chase here. This movie is extremely generic. It feels like you're watching a movie that came out in 2003 and was just discovered in 2022. And within the first 5 to 10 minutes of this movie, you can pretty much predict every single major beat that's going to happen. In fact, I actually had a call with my friend about a month ago and I predicted what I thought was going to happen in Morbius, and I was 95% right with my prediction. It's a very one-note movie. You're going to be able to guess every major reveal that happens, and you've seen this plot before in other superhero films, so there's really no originality to it. And adding on to this, there's really no emotional investment with any of the characters in this movie. While on paper, Michael Morbius seems like a character you might be able to get behind because he has this rare blood disease, everything happens so quickly to the point where we don't really get to know this character and really see his struggles until he is fully formed into the Morbius character and has already become advanced or a superhero. It's not like conventional origin stories where you really have time to see this character in their everyday life. It feels very rushed through from the start, which is just never great, and it doesn't help the dialogue is so poorly written between characters. It's very bland and stale. There's not many attempts at humor or really any lighthearted dialogue to keep you like engaged or even emotionally invested at all, really, so it kind of just falls flat. Even from a visual standpoint, the movie was pretty bland. Like, the color grading is very dull, kind of like the Venom movies, which I've always critiqued. They don't really have any pop to them. I can respect this movie though, because there are moments where it tries to dive into the horror genre, and there's one scene in particular in a hallway that definitely feels like a classic or cliche horror scene that was somewhat effective. So that's one of the more standout scenes, I would say, from like a direction standpoint. And putting my personal thoughts on Jared Leto as a person aside, I do think he's a well-respected actor, and he usually gives pretty solid performances. An underrated one I think is Panic Room, and he obviously won the Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club. But in this movie, I just felt like, not necessarily that he phoned it in, but I didn't feel like there was much material for him to work with in the script. The same can be said for played by Matt Smith, who is a really solid actor. I mean, he's a version of Doctor Who, I want to say, but he is also known for being in Last Night in Soho and a lot of these other smaller roles, and I think that he's a good actor, but his character being like a best friend of Michael Morbius, they just don't really have the chemistry. You don't buy into their friendship, which is supposed to be such a crucial part of this plot. It just doesn't really bear any weight. The same can be said for Jared Harris, who I have so much respect for. He plays Moriarty in the Sherlock Holmes movies, and he's in Chernobyl. He's a damn good actor, and it feels like all the stars they got for this movie just went into like the 9 to 5. It's not like this was a passion project for any of them, or they really had their heart or soul in it. Now, in the trailers for this movie, there's a fair amount of action sequences you will see, and the issue I have with them is, yes, there are action scenes for sure, and some of them are well shot, but the editing is extremely disorienting. Like, it reminds me a lot of the Transformers 2 film, Revenge of the Fallen, where these Transformers would be fighting in the woods, and you really have no clue what's going on. You're just watching these two CGI blobs fighting. It kind of felt like that at certain action sequences, especially near the end of the movie, where Morbius would be fighting the villain of the movie, and you couldn't even tell it was happening. All you could really see was a bunch of blurs going at it, which is not really what you want in great action, especially for a comic book film with Marvel attached, so that was a bummer. In fact, the marketing in general for this movie kind of infuriates me. It got a lot of speculation going around certain characters possibly showing up or setting things up moving forward. I'm not going to tell you exactly what, but you can infer if you have seen the marketing or listened to any theories about Morbius. And it was so obvious that they just did that to try and get butts in seats and didn't actually have any real payoff in the movie. Once you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but Sony has had a track record lately. They've been a little bit misleading especially with Uncharted and the first Venom movie when it comes to showing certain things that might not actually make the final cut of the movie. And that may or may not be the case with Morbius, which is very upsetting to me. Also, when this movie ended and the credits started rolling, I was shocked that the movie had ended. It felt extremely abrupt, and I kind of looked around. There weren't many people in the press screening I was at. It was really bizarre that the movie was over because it didn't feel complete. It almost felt like there should have been 10 more minutes of clarity for the story, and somehow the movie just ended. It was a very bizarre ending. But at the end of the day, Morbius is one of those movies that I was forgetting as I was watching, and a week from now I probably won't even remember major details from it. It's just a very forgettable film that I really had no emotional investment into from the characters or just the plot overall. It's a very throwaway type movie, unfortunately, and one that I feel like most people forget about a few years from now. I honestly don't know why this movie was delayed so much, because it was inevitable that it was probably not going to be the best, so they might as well have just released it at its original release date, because no amount of reshoots could really save the final product that we got, which was an extremely lackluster, bland, and pretty bad movie. So if I had to give this movie a rating out of 5 stars, I'd probably go like 1.5 out of 5, maybe a 2 out of 5. Follow me on Letterboxd at Filmstock to see what I end up giving it over there. But it's a very throwaway movie, and it just is unfortunate. We're in 2022 with the era of the Batman, the Avengers Endgames, the Spider-Man No Way Homes, and we're still getting movies like this. It just makes no sense, and it makes me a little concerned about the future of Sony's movies, particularly Kraven the Hunter and Madam Web. What is their end game? Are they going to bring a Spider-Man in? Who really knows if there is a plan? It's a big bummer, and I'm a little concerned about the future of Spidey in movies. But what do you guys think of Morbius? If you've seen the movie, let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to hit the like button. Are you even going to see it? Let me know down below. And make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future reviews like this one. I'm covering Moon Knight and tons of Marvel content as we continue on through the rest of the year. And if you want to see a lot more videos and get to know me more on a personal level, I do have a Patreon that is linked down below. I love getting to know you guys over there and growing that community. But thank you guys again for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.